Let's call the select board meeting to order for Monday, June 8th. It is now 7 o'clock. Okay, first order of business, review agenda for addition, removal, or adjustments. Do we have anything, Val?
No.
So Zoom meeting again. Everybody's muted. That's great. If you need to talk, either unmute yourself, raise your hand, send us a chat. We'll try to keep charge of that, or keep that aware. Other than that, public forum. Anybody have anything they'd like to say that's not on the agenda? Okay, cool. First order of business, village paving and Main Street sidewalk project updates.
Well, hopefully folks had a chance to review the written report about what's coming up. I think of note is that the evening work on Main Street is going to be happening, and nothing during the day, but the daytime work will be on the pavement preparation to the west and the east of the downtown. In my conversation with Natalie last week, she was highly complimentary of the business owners and the residents, the tenants of Main Street, who have been handling the disruption very gracefully, at least as far as she knows, because she has not been receiving complaints, and they seem to have been, I mean, I'm sure there's distress and discomfort, but she's not been hearing complaints. And so she's very complimentary of how folks are coping with it. One thing that's going to be coming up on this is that we're planning on having regular weekly construction meetings with key people, the project managers and certain town staff, to make sure that we have clear communication on the project as things are going forward, and also reflecting on work that's been completed, so that we can keep track of the progress that's been achieved and know clearly what's coming up ahead, so that we can communicate that with the public and amongst other folks who need to know. Other than that, Ian, do you have anything to report?
No, that's pretty thorough. Yeah, so I go down probably every other day just to see what's been done. And as I said in the last meeting, it's usually a lot's been done. They're moving pretty quickly. There's each time I see it, there's visible changes on Main Street. I think almost all the lamppost bases have been set, and they have reset the curbs on the north side and I believe the south side now. So they're kind of cranking. I think one of the ideas is to get the north side completely finished. They already have some of the lampposts installed. And so north side finished completely, since they only have a few of the sidewalk areas to replace instead of the entire sidewalk. And then they move over and they focus on the south side doing that. And there's a little bit of work that needs to be done up at the top by Recycled Reading, which is putting in a new access ramp for the accessible parking space that'll put there in that very first spot. And then there is the little island that needs to be put in down by Vermont Tree Goods, and redoing that whole sidewalk. But yeah, they're doing a great job. I haven't received any complaints. I had a couple people, again, it was sort of just the concerns of mask wearing while the milling was being done outside of houses. But I haven't heard of anyone in terms of the noise levels. I talked to Carol Wells, who lives right on Main Street. She said that she wasn't disturbed. She faces sort of towards the back or the south side behind, not directly on Main Street. Said she was okay. She did say a couple people in Bristol Suites did talk to her about that, even though they were also facing at the back. So, each person is going to be more sensitive to work, I think, than others. But I haven't received any other complaints, so hopefully it's doing well.
Ian, quick question. I don't know if you know the answer to this. The lights that they're using now, these guys are done at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's when they get done. But the lights are always still on, and to me, they don't really need to be. I mean, doesn't somebody have to physically come down and shut them off? And why don't they shut them off when they leave at 6 a.m.?
I don't know. Is it because of it's still getting lighter at 6 a.m. or is 6 a.m.?
Oh
I
my
don't
God,
wake
no,
up at
it's
6 a.m.
light.
Oh, it is. I don't
It's
know.
light at 5 o'clock.
I've only come down. I've come down once the day after, and one in front of Hatch had been left on, and it was probably like 9 a.m. I assume that they were switching them off when they left. Maybe they leave them on because I don't know. I'm not sure. We can ask about that.
I mean, it just seems to me, I mean, I don't know if we're paying it for, they're paying it, but you know, really by 5 o'clock, it's light. And definitely by 6:30 when I went through today, you know, it's definitely light. They really don't need them on.
So when you went through, were all of them still on then at 6:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. We'll find out about that. Yeah, initially they were finishing the day work and turning them on around 3 or 3:30 or 4 and leaving them on. We had complaints about that. That's got switched so someone would come back and turn them on. But if they're not turning them off, I'll reach out to Chris about that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me if they're done at 6, they should be able to shut them off.
Yeah, that's what I assumed they were doing, but there may be a reason why they're not, but I'll find out.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on that? Okay. Next order of business, what to do with the former ornamental streetlights?
So if folks had a chance to look at the report, the lights are being stored at the Public Works facility. Some are in better condition than others. We've received at least 2 expressions of interest in purchasing one or more of the lights, but the question is out there of what is a fair price. And also some of the lights are in better condition, and they all work, and some might need a little bit more care than others. So interested in other people's thoughts about how to approach this. And one idea that I floated out there was to put them all out to bid. There might be a creative way where we can individually label them like ABC or 1, 2, 3 or whatever, and post them independently and have people bid on those particular lights based on those the conditions that we would be describing, and sell them to the highest bidder. And if we go in that route, then suggestion is to establish a low bid. So the minimum threshold for a bid, like whatever. But anyway, just putting it out there to get other people's thoughts.
How bad are the bad ones? How good are the good ones? Do we know?
Well, the good ones are pretty good. The bad are banged up. Mostly on the bottom where the plows knocked them around a little bit. But
so they're banged up, but they're not like rusted through or anything like that.
Some of them are rougher shape. Yeah. Some are in pretty good shape.
But mainly the bases, like where they'd actually bolt on. But I think you can get replacement parts, but whether people want to do that or not, that's another question.
Actually, that's questionable. That's been one of our challenges, and that's one reason why the other ones are being replaced, is because it's been a challenge getting replacement parts.
Yeah.
And there is one lamp where the lid appears to be
missing
in some way, the top. So anyway, those are the thoughts.
Joel, do you have something?
I think we ought to at least pick out a couple really good ones and maybe save them for spares. Are these never going to get hit? Of course not. Of course they're going to get hit.
I think these models are different from the ones that are being installed now. So I don't know that they're interchangeable. The ones that we're talking about are many, many, many years old, and the replacement parts are hard to get. So I don't think they're interchangeable with the ones that are being installed now.
Oh, I think we should put them out to bid and then number them, and then, like if there's 14 of them, number 1 through 14, and draw them out of a hat. If the first bidder, if he's the highest bidder, or he or she gets to pick, and then so on. Or if you get 4 of them that bid the same, you draw out of the hat and you take, and number 14 might be the wreck, and that's the hat you drew, and that's the one you're taking. I wouldn't.
Well, I mean, if you're doing it,
that's what we're going to do.
If you're doing it online,
what's that?
Sure, but I mean, I was going to say that's part of it. If you're bidding on something and paying for it, you want to bid on something that you know the condition of. I don't think you can bid randomly. I don't think that's fair on the person bidding, that they might get the worst one of the lot if they're really interested in having one. I think it would be easy just to make a quick note of the condition of each of them, and then figure out a way to put them on and up for bid. And so these retail, what's the retail price? I know they're newer models, but like over 1,000, like 1,200, something like that.
It's hard to say because I went online to look at what used lampposts are selling for on Amazon and other vendors, and it's really all over the map.
Yeah.
And it's condition.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I agree with Ian. If you're bidding on something, you want to know what you're getting, and if you're paying for something, you want. So, maybe if you can put like, okay, there's 5 of them that are in this condition, and this is the minimum bid, and you can bid on these, and then there's the next set and the next set, so that they know, okay, I'm bidding on the lowest ones that aren't as well maintained.
Right.
I mean, figure out what the minimum bid is.
So I had someone suggest that maybe the rec club could use them for lighting in their parking lot by the hub. And I went over there. I was over there on Sunday. You'd probably need maybe around 6 of them. And so you could, if we wanted to, if we were feeling nice, we could donate 6 to the rec club. Obviously, they would have to figure out how to pay for trenching and wiring and all that. Joel's shaking his head.
Well,
we just put a street light in to cover the parking lot, $250 a year from Green Mountain Power. So.
Well, and I was going to say, I mean, if you can't get replacement parts for them, why would they want them for that?
That's true. Wait, where's the street light over there? Is it right?
It's mounted by the pole by the walkway going into the hub.
Oh, okay. But is it for the parking area or is it for the hub?
For the hub area, and there's one over the parking area by another.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Peeker, your thoughts?
Yeah, my experience with anything I've ever bought at auction, if there's more than one item, high bidder gets choice, and then they work their way down through the bidders after that.
Okay.
So that would be my recommendation. High bidder gets choice of whatever light they want, lights they want, and I would suggest a minimum bid of probably 10% of the current cost. So probably $100 for a minimum bid.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Could we offer an out, like if I'm the low bidder and now there's nothing left but banged up bottoms and jilted tops, can I say, no, thank you, I don't want that anymore?
Absolutely. You're not bound. You still have choice. And if you're bidding thinking you're going to get one of the 3 lights that's in pristine condition, and you're not high bid, and we say these are the ones left, you can refuse them. There's no problem there.
So do we want a minimum bid, or we're just going to put them out there?
Probably 100, like Peter said.
I think $100 minimum bid is a good starting point.
Anybody else? Does that seem fair? I mean, I have no idea.
I mean, they're probably going to have to spend a bit of money to get them wired in and all of that. So
But they
keeping
know
it
that
low.
when they're buying them.
That's true.
And
Because
they
an
work.
auction is
Speaker, go ahead.
an auction is a place where you look for a deal. So if they have an idea what these lights cost and what they're getting into, then they'll base their bid accordingly.
Go ahead, Val.
So I'm hearing that the idea is to solicit an auction process where all of the lights are grouped together, although identified 1, 2, 3 or ABC, but not individualized for bidding. So like lamp 1 is this description and people bid on that one. Then lamp 2 is this description and people bid on that one. Instead, it's a group process and the high bid preference. And then the others down the line get their dibs. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think
That's
the lights we're bidding on, and you put in there highest bidder gets choice, there's 14 of them or whatever, and then we'll go down from there, and you have every right, once you get to your number, to refuse.
With a minimum
I
bid.
just think that if you, Valerie, if you want to go through all the trouble of listing them all separately and have them all individually bid, you're more than welcome to, but I just think you're making a lot of work for yourself.
Or someone.
Unless you want to talk to Eric. I don't think
I see
he
some
likes
head shaking.
that idea.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on vacation, remember?
Consensus, a vote, anything?
I make a motion
You
that
want
we,
to
I make a motion.
Somebody want
I
to
make
second that motion? Darla seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, any more discussion?
What's his motion? Anything, just make a motion.
What they
Yeah,
said.
we auction them off however
Yeah.
Valerie deems
Let's-
fit.
Auction. So it's auction them off as a group. Lowest, the starting bid is $100 per light, and the highest bidder gets his choice or her choice or their choice of light of lamp, or more if they want them.
And you get the threshold guarantee.
And hopefully we can guarantee that they all work. They actually light up.
Well, they did when they were removed.
Well, they certainly don't work right now.
That's right.
Right. Can we hook up some power to them and test them? I don't
Right.
know.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor? Raise your hand, whatever. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
My hand is down.
Okay, next, Recreation Department updates, summer camps and operations.
Yes. I was wondering, can I share my screen? Would
Oh,
that
let me see if I can do that for you. Well, actually, Michelle, you probably can arrange that too.
if I can't, that's okay. I have
No, let's
Plan
do
B.
that. Hang on.
I can't let her.
Okay.
if not, like I said,
No, you good to go.
okay, let's see here. Okay. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Staff training. There we
So I'm
go.
just gonna leave it as in editing mode because it's just quicker. All right, so as you guys know, a lot of camps are happening, not just like in Bristol, but for Jens, Middlebury. And so our team has been working for the last 3 months, just really getting prepared to make this happen. Just curious, did anybody watch the video that that Taylor and I created? Just a few of you guys? Okay.
Yep.
All right, so the video,
And they still can.
okay, cool. Yeah, so it's accessible on our website. And I just want to run through this real quick. So the first slide is the picture of when you get onto our site, and you'll see announcements. Sadly, you'll also see the Bristol band letting everybody know that that's not happening. You'll also see highlighted areas, links to what's going on in Addison County, Bike Club, Bristol Trail Networks, and the Department Survey, which I believe is closed now. But then when you want to get into a program like mountain bike, for example, you'll have 3 links to go to. You'll get to go to the state guidance for summer programs, which we are following. And then you can go to what parents expect from the camps that you're sending your kids to. And then the third video is our awesome in-house video that Taylor and I created. As you see, we do discuss, that we're following the CDC and the state of Vermont guidelines. So moving from there, our general procedures, we're maximizing our camps to 10, 2 counselors and a health officer. We'll have drop-off guidelines, no sharing snacks, equipment. I do have some rental bikes, but they're part of the bike library, so they're free to the bike campers. Mask wearing, we're asking the campers provide their own mask and more than one. And they must demonstrate to us that they can wear their mask when they get dropped off, because at some ages, they become like mask suckers. You know, if you're too young, you're just kind of like all over the place with the mask. And that's why we need to make sure they're properly worn. Going along with the health officer safety schedule, so you'll see that our camps, there's 8 of them. Each camp has 2 counselors and a health officer. So for example, my first camp is June 22nd. Alex is going to be my health officer, and he'll take care of checking in, making sure that all the kids are healthy. They'll do a health survey. We just got our thermometer in the other day, so we'll be doing that. A little adaptation is a temperature checked 3 times a day. We are allowed to do 2 times a day, so now it will be drop off and lunch, and or if we think that you need to have your temperature taken. Going on to facilities, making sure that we are following the requirements of the CDC. So we do have a supply list. We are purchasing as we speak certain supplies. Certain supplies are on back hold, so we will be scavenging the local stores to find what we need to carry over until we get the big shipment in. You'll see that we'll be at least 3 times a day cleaning the facilities, but most of our time will be outside because we have that pavilion and just the field right there. And then the bathrooms at the hub, that is just for the camp's usage. So we won't have to worry about that. And then, you know, just in case something does happen, we have a protocol. It is, you know, if they develop it, we have a place in the hub where they will be. We have how we're going to contact the parents, have them come pick them up. And then we'll also let the, you know, just the other campers' parents know what's going on. And worst case scenario, if a camper tests positive, the camp shuts down. Easy enough. We call the families, the kids go home. We wait 24 hours before we go in and clean, and we refund the money that they have missed. And then just personal hygiene, just wash your hands. One of the things that we've done is we've purchased an outside fishing kitchen, like a fishing cleaning kitchen. So we're gonna hook that up to the hose, and that will be our hand washing station outside, so we don't have to go inside to wash your hands. And that's pretty much, if you eat a snack or right about time you're gonna eat a snack, you're gonna wash your hands, and then you're gonna eat your snack. And let's see here. The hand washing station will be outside, accessible, and only really for the campers. And then our training, all staff have completed their VOSHA training. We have turned them into the town offices, and we are all certified in our basic first aid and CPR AED. So that's it for the slideshow. And does anybody have any questions so far? Is that a lot of information for you guys?
It's just Meredith.
Yeah.
Just under the, you said you're taking the temperature. Just the health officer will have that information on the camper.
Yeah. So we have
We won't
a.
be breaking any HIPAA rules.
Pardon?
So we won't be stepping on any HIPAA rules.
That is correct. So the health officer will be that person for that week, for that camp, and that information will only be for that health officer.
Okay.
And if I can also, in regards to that, whenever we have to notify any of the campers or the other campers and families regarding anyone that's sick or has symptoms, we'll be following HIPAA rules as well. There's not going to be, it's only, the information is only ever a camper was sick. It's never going to be any identity.
Yeah, we
And
feel
and a camper could be sick from any number of things. It could be just ordinary stuff.
yeah, I mean, kids eat snacks and then they go do somersault, handspring, and all of a sudden their stomach is like, woo, and they feel woozy. So, I mean, there's mechanism of sickness. So we are definitely going to keep that in perspective. Yeah, I gotta say, we've worked really hard. We as a team feel pretty comfortable about how we've set up and following the guidelines. So that'll be exciting. One of the programs that are starting the earliest is Evelyn's outside dance class. It's an invitation only class, 6 kids allowed, and that one is outside in there. We'll set up boxes for them to be in. It's a 7x7 box with an 8-foot separation in the grass so they can run around the box without ever coming into contact with the other dancer.
And there's a cool video on that too to show how that's being set up.
That is correct. Yeah. So we really try to answer a lot of the questions that we can think of that are out there. There's always going to be some question that we're going to have to do some research, but I feel pretty confident that we're going to be successful in following the guidelines and the protocols.
And could you put in a word about the stipend you recently acquired from the state?
Yes, so the state, I found out through the Vermont Recreations Directors meeting that there was a stipend. It was due within the hour of that meeting. So I applied for it, and we had received $2,222 based on the size of our camp, which is 10 kids, and how long the camp is running, which is pretty much 8 weeks. And so, and that goes to, the first thing that's going to is those supplies that we need, the sanitation supplies, and then it kind of goes over into what arts and crafts we need. And then one of the things that you can use is to hire additional staff. We've pretty much, we're looking at hiring subs, just in case we need those subs if one of us isn't feeling good or injured. Like, I mean, I'm injured, yeah. So if there's an injury then or a sickness, we are able to cover that with a sub. But the main counselor for a camp will always be a rec department employee, either Taylor, myself, or Alex.
Meredith, can you touch on the swim program? Do you have any more information on that?
Yeah, so I talked to Devin last week. He was going to follow up with April. April's our Red Cross swim instructor master. I haven't heard back from him. He said Monday or Tuesday. Just a heads up, Rutland will not be doing swim lessons. They'll do open swim, but there won't be any swim lessons. And I believe Middlebury is either shut down or they're only doing open swim. But so far, I haven't found many people who are doing the actual swim lessons.
I know Virgins has been discussing that subject, and I think they're opening their pool.
To swim lessons or just open? So that's
I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Probably is a minimum.
It seems to me the pool would be the best place where you got the chlorine in that's going to kill anything.
Yeah, it's just getting in the pool and then getting out, or just getting out of the pool. The other thing is the contact points in the pool itself. You know, that bleacher's there. You really can't sit on that bleacher. And then the other thing is it fiscally reasonable to be running that program if we have to hire extra cleaning staff to come in and clean behind us? And then there's the fact that there is remodeling going on at the high school. So there's this other whole part of the possibilities of not having swim because of the construction. So yeah, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to see what I'm able to do.
Meredith, if you're done with your show, can you stop sharing your screen?
Betcha.
Thank you.
Meredith, do you know what the status of the construction is? Are there actual locker rooms available at the school?
No. So the locker rooms weren't going to be available to begin with. So that was off the books to begin. So the one thing was there was one little shower in the pool area that people have to wash off. And I'll let you know, like when we did lessons, the 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, you could easily have 45 kids in there. Now, obviously there's a point where we're not allowed to have more than 25. And then when you're having levels 1, that's really a lot of hands-on for those little guys. So that class would have to be even smaller. So we're probably looking at 4-to-1 ratio, and the instructors need to be comfortable in providing the swim lessons. So there's that whole piece of it is, if you're an instructor, do you want to do this?
Well, right now I know the floor in there is down to dirt in the hallway. So
yeah, I would, if this is the year to put it on hold, for all sorts of reasons, I would be fine with that. If it's a go, then I will be fine with that as well.
Time will tell.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else from you guys, for you guys, Meredith?
Alex, Taylor, you guys have anything?
I think you covered it. I mean, yeah, we've just been planning and we're excited to get started.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anybody
great
else
job,
have any
guys.
questions?
I just wanted to say that they've done a tremendous amount of work in preparing. It's
Yeah.
really remarkable. So hats off, Meredith. You've done a really good job.
Yep, looks amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, we've worked hard to making this happen.
Okay, great job, guys.
Great, thank you.
Okay, next. Park use application, Black Lives Matter Vigil at Town Green, Tuesday, June 9th at 3 p.m.
Okay, so hopefully select board members had a chance to look at the application that was submitted. We also are aware that information is circulating on social media that might be a little bit contrary to some of the information on that application. I understand that Isabella and her team are tuned in and are available to answer questions.
Isabella, I'm going to ask is when whoever speaks, just tell us your name so we know who's talking, or announce yourself so we know who's talking. Okay.
Okay, I'm Isabella.
Okay. So I have a couple of questions. Like, I know that the application says 25 and that you'll comply with the COVID-19 restrictions. How are you going to do that if you get more than 25 people that show up?
Well, I think so. They had a gathering at the park today, and there were, I think, probably at least like 50 people there, and there was plenty of space for everyone to be at least 6 feet apart from each other, and everyone was wearing a mask. So I think that if we were to enforce mask wearing and that like people weren't getting close to each other, I don't think that like enough people would be there that they wouldn't be able to be 6 feet apart from each other, because the park is like big enough.
Yeah, and we will be having like a microphone, so nobody will have to be, oh, I'm Rosa, by the way. We will have a microphone, so nobody will have to be too close to hear anything. Like, it should work out well that everyone can stay like very well distanced from each other, but still hear everything that's going on.
Is that Rosa Trop?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. You get that, Tasha?
Can you spell that last name for me just real quick?
Tropp.
Yep, she's got it.
So, I mean, I have no problem with that. I mean, other than the governor says no more than 25 people. So that's why I'm asking you how you are going to control that. You know, if he says the limited number of gatherings is 25 people and you have 50, I mean, what's the ramification and who's going to, you know, how are you going to police that?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure like how that works applying to these gatherings, because I mean, I also did attend the one in Montpelier, and there were far more than 25 people at that gathering, and that was at the State House, and I don't think there were any ramifications for that gathering, so I don't know how the like social distancing guidelines and the group guidelines apply to the protest, but I've seen plenty of others that have ended up having more than 25 people. So I'm just not really sure like what would happen if we did that as well.
Well, the reason I asked that is because the application says 25 people. So that's I'm saying,
Yeah,
okay,
I mean,
you're probably going to have more than that.
I honestly am not sure. We have been posting things about it. Like, I can't guarantee how many people are going to show up. There's probably a good possibility there will be more, but yeah, it's really kind of up in the air, like who is actually going to come anyway. So
Okay.
I mean,
Bruce, do you have any? Oh, go ahead, Ian.
I was going to say the fact that one was held today, and there were more than 25 people there, and it seemed to be, I've heard from someone else prior to this meeting who went, said that there were far more than 25, but everyone was distanced and respectful of that distance and wearing masks. So, and that was actually something that didn't come across the select board's table. So
I was just going to say that, and we didn't give a permit for that.
no.
Bruce, do you have any concerns?
No, I think it was Isabella I spoke to on the phone. Just expressed that as long as they don't block the sidewalk or the streets, we can work things out.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or concerns?
Well, there's some confusion about whether there's a march going up along Main Street.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, I saw that on Facebook or Front Porch Forum, there would be.
Yeah, so we after we sent in the application to get the park permit, we had like discussed, and a lot of people suggested that we do that. So we were thinking of just walking up one side of Main Street and coming down the other on the sidewalk, not in the street or anything. It shouldn't be disruptive if we're just on the sidewalk and come straight back to the park. It should be like 10 minutes tops, just so people can like hold their signs up that they bring.
Okay.
And then the rest will just be like the 8 minutes of silence in the park. Everyone should be distanced there. And I don't think that will be a big problem, if that's okay.
Ian, go ahead.
Given the condition of Main Street, I might recommend maybe changing the location of that. Both sides are pretty disrupted because of the Main Street sidewalk project. There's only like half a sidewalk on, I think, the south side, and sort of little bits here and there on the north side. And there's a lot of construction rubble, and there's a lot of dust. And if there's cars going through, it's probably not going to be the best place to be walking around. So I don't know if you're able to, I mean, you could do around the block in terms of the park, where you're going to have better sidewalk, less traffic, and things like that. Normally it would be fine, but just because of the construction and the fact that we have all the main road is torn up, any cars or trucks coming through at that time, and there should be quite a few, it's not the best place to be. That would be my concern.
Right. I was going to make the same suggestion about relocating the march if there was one. And I also want to say, it sounds like you guys you were really responsible in reaching out to the town and the police department, and that's really commendable as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Joel?
I support the group 100%, but what if we don't approve this and they still have it? They did today. Someone had an event today on the park. I mean, what's the difference today than was 3 weeks ago today when they wanted to have the Memorial Day service on the park and we said no?
Good question.
I support this. I really do. And well, I just want to know, what's the difference? 3 weeks ago they asked, or more than 3 weeks ago, they wanted to have something 3 weeks ago today. And
Well, 3 weeks ago, they were only allowing 10 people too.
Right.
But they're allowing 25 now, and they had over 50, I was told today.
Their application asked for 200. This application is stating 25. I get it. I support it, but they can't stop. If they've invited 25 people and 50 people show up, or 100 people show up, that's kind of out of.
So we tell Legion next year, just put on your application 25, and you can't control who it comes after that? Come on,
Pretty much. Sounds like it.
let's be real here.
No, but I think we're also in a different place than we were 3 weeks ago. Again, like we were at 10 people.
The governor
then.
said
They've
25,
increased it.
girl.
I know, but they were 10 3 weeks ago, Joel, is what I'm saying. And the application we had in front of us at that time said 200. And we were in a very unknown place, and we all felt very uncomfortable about that. While there still are unknowns, the governor has lifted some of these restrictions. I know that there was a high school in the Northeast Kingdom that held an in-person graduation. They had they had blocks on the ground, or they had painted on the ground, you 25 people are here, stay 6 feet apart, you 25 people are there, 25, 6 feet apart. So there's interpretation, I guess, to be had. And I think and again, I support, I always love the Memorial Day service. I go every year. I have military in my family, all of that. So it was hard to make that decision. And I think we're in a slightly different place now. And that's why I feel like I can support this petition. And also knowing that the health officer signed off on this makes me feel a little differently as well.
That made me feel a lot better, yes. But if we don't approve this, or we just say we table it and they have it anyway, what's the consequences? What was the consequences today, Bruce? Nothing, correct? Am I correct in saying that?
Well, that's a civil issue, and you can follow up with a letter from the town to the supporters or the organizer. Wow.
Oh, no, I don't want anything to happen about today. It happened. And
right.
and nothing happened legally. And that's why I'm saying maybe we just table it, and we know Santa and Isabel have it, but we didn't officially approve it, but we didn't just not approve it.
If I can, I'm just gonna say, to me, that feels like we're telling, they went through all of the right channels. They contacted, they contacted Bruce, they've contacted the town, and now we're telling them, well, if you just didn't tell us, you could have done it anyway. That doesn't feel like the lesson I think that we want to put out there.
I get it 100%. Someone didn't tell us today.
Well, I know, I'm not saying that was correct. I'm just saying, I feel like this group has been really responsible in their actions, and I wouldn't feel right about telling them I struggle with it. I struggle.
If they have it like you said, Darla, the graduation up north did, section taped off, 25 over there and 25 over there, and I would support that way.
Well, they'll all go out with a little rope and make a 6-foot circle around each person.
Spray paint.
I mean, it's in some respects, it's out of our control. We can approve the permit as it stands, and that's the information we have. What happens beyond that, it is kind of out of our control, other than what Bruce says. We can contact the organizers and say, look, you're in violation. But what's the ramifications? We don't have a fine fee set up, do we?
Well, there is actually. And
is there?
Yeah, the ordinance provides for the first violation to be a letter of warning. And then after that, if it happens again, then there's the possibility of fines. So the first infraction is a warning.
So maybe that letter should go out to whoever was the organizer of the thing today.
Do we know who that is?
It was Sarah Stott and Howard Jennings.
And I don't know them, but
from the co-housing.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why they didn't do an application. Perhaps they didn't know to do an application.
And that's totally possible. I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't know that.
Well, and following up on that comment, I will plan to put a notice out on Front Porch Forum and on social media to remind or inform people, especially as we get into the season of events, even though under these current restrictions, things are still going to happen, especially now where a lot of people are motivated to express things, that I will put information out on Front Porch Forum and social media to let folks know that Bristol does have an ordinance on social gatherings and that there is a process, and to encourage people to follow that process. And I'll provide links to the ordinance and the application forms.
And we also have to remember that this is new. We didn't have this last year. So, I mean, if somebody misses it, it's a case of they didn't know. If they know, shame on them. But if they didn't know, then I think it's appropriate to send them a letter letting them know that they were in violation. That way, if they do it again, they can be fined.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the other thing too with the 25 people is that in terms of the language, it actually talks about any one indoor space of up to 25 people. So we're dealing with an outdoor space. So even if there were more than 25 people, they have the ability to separate and still be, well within the specific regulations.
Mm-hmm. And that, I believe they said that they had a loudspeaker that you'd be using a microphone. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So you could remind your crowd if you could do that. I would.
Yeah, we were planning on doing that right away. Yeah. Yeah. Like as soon as
reminders.
Yeah.
I think that would be wonderful. Thanks.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Now, one of the things that was presented on one of the social media posts was the use of chalk on sidewalks. It wasn't included in the application, so the select board might want to weigh in on that element.
And we're talking the sidewalks around the park, in the park?
Yeah, just the park.
Mm-hmm. Do we know what the chalk would be used for? What kinds of expression or imagery that people would be communicating?
Pretty much the same things that people would write on signs, just like words of support of the movement, nothing like too detailed, most likely just like graphic, like Black Lives Matter in general, like We can ask people to refrain. Yeah, we can definitely ask people to refrain from using any like profane language. We're gonna probably have like some music playing, and we made sure that all the music we play also was not explicit at all, and just like have a nice activity of people like showing their support on the sidewalk.
I think if we make a motion and approve this, that it ought to have a caveat that if some vulgar language or something of that nature is written, that you people be responsible for making sure it's removed before you leave.
Yeah, definitely. We can take full responsibility for anything, and we'll definitely like remind people a lot not to do that, because that's not what we're trying to stand for.
Eric, did you have something you want to say?
Well, no, actually, Peeker said it for me. So
Okay.
I was just going to suggest that when the rally is done, that they go around and check all the concrete, make sure there's no profanity or anything like that, and remove it before they left. That, and Peeker already said it, so I'm good.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Meredith.
And that everybody takes their signs home.
Okay.
And don't leave them at the garbage receptacles.
They're not going to fit. I make a motion that we approve the application.
Somebody want a second?
With the, as discussed.
Correct.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? Okay. I do have a question. Is there going to be any concern about any degrading of our police department on this?
There shouldn't be. The purpose of it is just to basically like mourn the loss of victims, and there won't be any speakers. The only speaking that we'll be doing is we're reading an MLK quote that is talking about like not having hate in this world, and then we're just going to be reading names of victims and then taking 8 minutes of silence to remember George Floyd. We're not going to be even like mentioning police officers at all, really.
Okay.
It's mostly just focusing on like the actual victims. So I don't think
Okay.
that should be an issue.
All right. Okay. All those in favor? Say aye, raise your hand, whatever. Okay. Any opposed? Okay. Motion carried. Permits granted.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Next topic, coronavirus COVID-19 update, preparations, response, and impact to municipal operations.
Yes, so in my report, I outlined that the office is still currently closed to the public except under limited conditions. One particular update to note is that work or efforts are underway to have plexiglass shields installed, suspended from the ceiling, so that there will be a gap above the counter where people can slide documents under. It's going to require 2 separate panels because the alignment of the area over the main counter is a little bit different than the area over the cash register. And so a separate panel is going to be made with a cutout over the cash register so that the folks can stand there and still be protected. The drop box, the interior drop box, it has been ordered, and hopefully we can have everything installed all at the same time. The question comes up once these things are installed, which increases the level of protection for employees and for customers at the office. At what point does the office get opened for the general public? There are pros and cons to the current condition with the office having been locked for so long, and even like now, it requires actually a lot of extra work on the inside to carry out a lot of tasks that would ordinarily be very straightforward and simple, but now require a lot of extra steps in terms of opening mail, doing documents, copying, and then mailing things in return. Whereas before it was a simple counter transaction. And then the question of employees that are still working remotely, and to what degree do we pull that back? And then also, at what point do we begin having in-person meetings in physical space. That's not to say that we have to make these decisions right away, but the governor did indicate today in his conference that he's likely to extend the emergency order, the statewide emergency order, in order for him to be able to continue to transition the state and the economy into a gradual reopening. So we don't have an end date yet for the governor's emergency order. So that's just laying the groundwork for further conversation about where we go from here.
When is the plexiglass supposed to come? I know it's been ordered, right?
I believe it's been ordered.
Mm-hmm. Do we have a date when it's supposed to be here? Go ahead, Jen, if you know.
I don't know a date, but let's just assume, regardless of when the date actually is, let's assume it's next Thursday. But let's just assuming that, then everything's in place next Thursday, which it may or may not be. But then what?
I mean,
there's a little bit of coordination. Sorry, there's a little bit of coordination just because we had to order the glass from Desert Braze, but they won't install. So we are working together with Brewster Construction, which I'm sure Valerie told you all this. So I'm just saying it for old sake. But there's a little bit of, there's just some coordination because it's multiple vendors kind of that we're working with to get the stuff installed.
Right.
For the cash register, can you just move it back so you don't have to do a special thing, or is it not movable?
It's movable, but the cash register takes up, we want to have room on the other side of the glass. So if somebody's trying to get something notarized, they have a counter space to use, and that the cash register won't fit if we were to pull it back to where the glass was going to be. We'd have to create like a whole separate table. So we just said, let's just make a separate glass piece for that.
So I had a question too. So in terms of staff coming back, how do you feel about it, Jen? You and Sharon are spending the most time there. Obviously, Valerie comes in, you're now 2 days a week, right? Or 2 half days. Like, what are your feelings about that, Jen?
I guess I just feel like if we're going to open the doors, I feel like it's only fair for everybody that everybody's there. Like, I don't feel like it's fair to open the doors and have it not fully staffed, with the idea that if somebody, and for real, more so than anybody, it's Chris that people would be coming to see, that they come in because that's his office hours and he's not having in-person office hours. So, I mean, I just feel like if we're going to be open for everyone to come in, that I feel like everyone should be back, or maybe have very specific in-time office hours so that we could say, you can come back at this time, when we know they'll be here.
And that's another, thanks Jen for mentioning that. Another option is that the town office opens in a limited way, like 3 days a week, kind of phase it in. I'm not sure if there's any particular benefit or consequence to that, but that's an option to kind of phase the opening in.
Well, I know that, at least in my office, we're allowed 10 people. I know right now you're allowed more than that, but that's what they're doing. And the way it can work, and this may be something, Jen, that you and Sharon can work out for the two of you. Maybe want to use there in the morning, want to use there in the afternoon if we're going to do that. But we're still going to have to control how many people are in there at one time based on the regulations at this point. I mean, Chris is only there 20 hours normally anyway. So, and I don't know that his office is big enough for him to keep the social distancing piece.
There's the conference room, so he certainly could go and meet in the conference room and meet at opposite ends of the table.
Yeah.
If that's what he felt comfortable doing.
Right.
I guess Sharon and I have talked about how the vault definitely does not provide enough space for 2 people to be in there.
Right.
Working comfortably. I mean, you know how it gets, Michelle, when you're doing land records and you have 1 book out and then you need 2 books out because you need to still refer to the other one. And, all of a sudden one person can be up in there taking up the whole table unintentionally, and then someone else walks in, and then you got to confine your space. But even so, there's not 6 feet worth of room for two people to be in there comfortably. So we really feel like that land research still needs to be by appointment.
Yeah, and then you can
really
absolutely do that.
And it's really kind of nice to specifically know when people are coming, to be able to kind of just definitely be like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, and people have been great. They're calling, we're putting it on the calendar, we're scheduling it so we all can see the schedule as far as when we know someone's coming in. And, you know, we say to them, how long do you think you're going to be? And if they're new, we typically say, can you give us the last name? Because, I mean, if you search the name Heffernan, you're there for hours.
It's not going to be an hour search.
So,
just like looking up Lathrop.
Exactly. So we can kind of give a little bit of guidance if they don't know, based on, you know, the name and what we think. But people have been pretty good and definitely respectful of their time frames and coming and going, and it gives us a second to get everything wiped down before someone else comes in.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think the bigger challenge is making sure you do the sanitizing and cleaning, you know, and have enough time to do that after somebody's been in there.
That's my only worry about with the public coming in. It's not that I don't want them to come in. It's just how many more things are, because we get cleaned once a week right now. So Kelly comes once a week. So my concern is that somebody comes in and then they're all over the counter. So now they leave and I got to try to race around, or Sharon has to race around to try to wipe the counter down before somebody else comes in. And like, is that, I mean, I guess, is that what the expectation's going to be? And I'm not opposed to that, but that's going to create a lot of additional work, you know, similar to what Valerie was saying, you know, yes, it's a lot of on the phone work, but we're not having to sanitize and clean nearly as much as we would have to be if people were coming in.
Well, I mean, this might be a discussion to have, like, if we're going to open, or at some point when we're going to open, have whoever does the cleaning come in every night just to sanitize for the next day. So you're not having to worry about that before you leave or before you come in. I mean, I don't know what that option is.
So I was going to say so you Jen, you've been doing this probably about a month now, maybe a little bit over in terms of coming into the office. Are you accomplishing what you need to accomplish? Let's say you had to do this for another 6 months, just the way it is now.
I mean, I'm working my full hours in the office.
Right.
I do not feel like I could be home accomplishing much. So for me, I feel like I need to be in the office because that's where everything I need is. And
but in terms of the people who aren't there, are we falling, you know, are we falling behind in terms of because we're so limited, or are things humming along quite nicely and it could actually stay this way for another 6 months? Or let's say not 6 months, let's say 3 months, because that's 6 months is a bit much.
I mean, I think the only kicker is the phone communication. And I think, I mean, at least from Valerie's standpoint, everything's been fine. Sometimes people have to call, you know, and say, you know, we have to tell them, like, they're working from home, please leave a voicemail. And Valerie you get your voicemails in your email, right?
I did up until Friday.
Oh no.
The new phone system got installed, and so I have to reestablish that forwarding process.
So she can check her voicemails that way and then return her calls, you know, from there. Obviously, a lot of things have become email oriented. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, what's your opinion on it, Valerie? How do you feel like you're?
Yeah.
I mean, because you're the one who's working from home, so it would be better for you to answer this question than me.
I feel as though I have complete functional access remotely now that thanks to this loaner laptop that I was able to install all the appropriate programs on, which I was not able to do on my personal laptop. I feel like it's just like being at my desk. The drawback is not being able to be face to face with you and Sharon and having conversations and returning phone calls. I do return phone calls, but I tend to also do that. I kind of batch them on Wednesdays and Fridays when I'm in there. But other than that, it's and because I'm here, it's not a strict 8 to 5 or whatever. It kind of morphs throughout the day. So it's flexible in that way.
Is it so, Valerie? Is that okay in terms of working? I know some people like that rigidity, like that structure, but since it is flexible for you now, are you feeling that's okay? Like you don't feel that work is becoming your entire life?
It works for me.
Okay.
Reality too is, I mean, even when I'm well, I don't want to get into this too much, but it's never been an 8 to 5 situation. So even after the workday, things morph into the other hours. But I certainly didn't miss the commute over the mountain. Be honest about that.
Right.
Yeah, I'll be honest about that.
Jen, let me ask you this. What about Chris? I mean, how is he doing his work, and how is he mostly email, voicemail? Do you know?
Well, he had to empty his voicemail out the other day because we realized that his box was full, and I think it's just because he can listen to them through his email, but just because you delete the email doesn't delete it on the phone.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, so we found out the hard way because we transferred somebody in there and they called right back and said, it says the mailbox is full. And we were like, oh no. So
the phone system should do that. If you delete it from your inbox, it should delete that from your phone.
Well, it's like this forwarded email, so it's not really the direct source. It's really just kind of a copy of what's in there.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I know he comes in when he needs to come in and get paperwork done and get some things situated and sorted. But I mean, Valerie, maybe you can speak to that better because I don't quite know.
The last few times I've been in on Wednesday and Friday, our paths have not crossed. So I'm not sure when he's coming in lately, physically.
I just do know that
when we're not there, he might let himself in and do things.
There's definitely high demand for him at the moment.
Yeah, tis the season.
Right. Absolutely. The biggest concern for me about opening the door is due to the downtown construction, the workers coming in to use the bathroom.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we're ready to open it yet.
No, but that's just a concern I have, with flaggers standing out there and whatnot when they do have daytime work, them coming in to use the bathroom. Sorry, Joel, go ahead. I see you raising your hand, so.
Well, no, go ahead and finish, Jennifer.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
I agree 100% with you. I mean, as much as I'd like to open up the office and to the public, you've not only you got the flaggers, but you've got the public. And then if someone brings the coronavirus in, you got contact tracing you got to figure out. And by the CDC, if you open up to the public, you got to clean every touch point 3 times a day. I guess it's down to 2 times a day. We're cleaning the bank's interior twice a day, all the touch points, doorknobs and things of that nature, counters. And if Valerie comes in, she's going to need a sneeze guard also. If someone comes into, that's a good term. I call them spit guards, but sneeze guards.
Why would Val need one?
Somebody goes in to see her.
Well, she's got room to keep 6 feet apart.
Yeah, folks stand in the doorway.
Not necessarily, Michelle. Believe me, that's what I've been doing the last 2 weeks, getting our loan people back. Been installing them for all the loan officers and stations, getting ready to open up if we do.
Well, if you have to open the bank, or when you open the bank, are you going to have like a sign-in of people? Like, I know I went to a business weekend.
Brandon's our only office that's open. I put sneeze guards in 2 weeks ago, the Tuesday after Memorial Day, because of the fact we don't have a drive up in Brandon. So we open that up, and everybody, it's by appointment only, or they can come rap on the door, and if no one's in, they can let them in, and we know their name and came in case we get contact tracing. We have to do that. But
Jen, we're going to have to do that, and our office has paperwork in that, so I can give you what we have.
Okay.
So
just because I went to a business this weekend and I had to put my name and my address and my phone number, which is obviously so if for some reason we catch wind of somebody been in the office and had coronavirus, you can contact everyone within the last, what, 2 weeks, I assume,
Was
and
that
tell them.
was that the creamy stand?
It was not. It was a manicure and pedicure, if you must know, Ian.
Oh, treat yourself.
Had to.
You gotta have little stickers every time you go somewhere now, so you don't have to write it all. All you gotta do is sign your name.
Real stickers.
Oh, that would be good. Well, I mean, I think if things are humming along nicely, then I don't see any reason to change at the moment. And like Jill said, given the amount of work, and Valerie said this too, that you would need to do to accommodate people, if residents aren't banging down the door and there isn't an angry mob that's trying to get in to see people, I see no reason to change it at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't have any large payment due. Water bills will go out here in a week or so, but there's not, like, taxes aren't going to be due again until November. So, I mean, we kind of have this lag time of summer anyway that wouldn't be people banging down the door trying to make their tax installment payment. It's really just, the day-to-day operation.
Yeah.
I would think your biggest draw is going to be the real estate people coming in for searches at this point.
I mean, I think Sharon and I have both agreed that we're glad that we continue to do appointment the entire time, because we feel like we would have just been out straight these last couple of weeks, which I'm sure some town clerks are just, booked out to the max because they opted to close their office completely and not allow anyone to come. And we decided to let that keep happening with hope that it would provide some relief later.
Well, I can tell you Rutland City they are scheduled out already 3 days ahead of time, because I tried to get in there and I can't get in there until like Thursday afternoon sometime. So, yeah.
I guess the one thing too is just to get a handle on what Chris's schedule is, just to, if we can communicate with him and see if the way that he's doing things, he's able to do what he needs to do, or people are able to see him.
Yeah, but if he's seeing people and he's bringing them into the office, we need to know that as well.
Right.
If
No,
for some
that's
reason
what I
he's
mean, like
meeting with somebody there.
Yeah, how is he accomplishing what he needs to do?
Yeah, but then if he is meeting with somebody, then we have to make sure that we're doing the cleaning and sanitizing after they leave.
Right.
So, okay. Anything else? You're muted, Val.
When he does meet with people, he meets in the conference room at the table, and they sit far apart.
Mm-hmm. But is he cleaning afterwards?
That I don't know.
Okay. Tasha, did you have something?
Yeah, so if we wanted to use the vault for like records and stuff, if we scheduled out for like 3 hours, you guys aren't doing like a time limit, right? Or anything?
We kind of ask what your time frame is, and then like we had someone come today for 3 hours this morning.
But you're not saying, oh, there's a limit, like as long as we
No,
say.
if you're the first person to call for that day, we kind of let you have your pick, but we try to keep a morning session and an afternoon session so that there is some availability. So we try to do like if you're going for 3-4 hours, we're looking for like an 8 to 12 or a 1 to 4 type scenario, so that we could fit at least 2 people in for the day.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the only limitation, Tasha, would be that like if you said 3 hours and they had scheduled somebody for the 4th hour, then you would be limited.
Yeah, which is that's what ended up happening today, is someone tried to squeeze in and somebody's on.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay. Next, consider adoption of VLCT local government COVID-19 resolution. So Val, I read that and I said, fix local in number 1, but then I realized you typed one up and fixed the word local.
So does something need to be adjusted?
No, they had just spelled local wrong on the one that they sent you, but then I see that you had typed one up and fixed that. Anybody have any questions? Everybody read it? Anybody in agreement, disagreement? Boy, no comments. Somebody want to make a motion to adopt it?
actual form is at the town office in the green folder for signatures.
Okay. Okay, somebody want to make a motion, or does somebody want to talk about this, or do we just not want to do this?
I make a motion, we adopt the BLTC resolution for COVID-19.
Okay, somebody want a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
By the way, this resolution is a coordinated event to communicate to the U.S. Congress about local government needs for financial assistance to help in response to the lack of revenues that that many communities are grappling with under the current situation, and not only now but in anticipated budget shortfalls.
Okay. Is there any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye, raise your hand. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Thank you.
Boy, that was tough. Okay. Revolving loan fund, COVID-19 loan amendment clarification.
So select board members may recall back in March, the select board adopted or passed the motion supporting this effort to extend some of the terms of the revolving loan fund loans. And it was tied to the governor's lifting of the emergency order. But as we've seen, there hasn't been a specific date or there's not one on the horizon yet either, but yet we need to have a specific date to include in the document for the loan amendments. So the question tonight is to establish a specific date that we can include in the loan documents regardless of when the loan or when the emergency order is actually lifted. Since it has continued to evolve and be modified over these weeks. Jen, did you have a suggestion on a particular date? June 15th or August or something?
My thought was go for a zero payment or a freeze payment until July 1st and then resume interest only payments from July 1st through
September.
And then, just kind of go on that quarterly basis, and then it's a little bit cleaner for everybody, myself included, and then we can just, be very specific about it. I think, as Valerie just said, that it's kind of pretty gray at the moment, and I don't know how much we want to get into meeting with these three businesses to decide what, I think that this is a very generous offer because you're talking about March, April, May, and June that they would have had a frozen payment and then be doing an interest only payment for 3 months after that.
That was going to be my suggestion, was July 1st.
Okay. Yeah. Right. I mean, just
that
as
sounds fine.
A clean, fair, knowing that retail is at 25% right now, obviously with the hopes that that's going to continue to increase over, the next few weeks or by July 1st.
And we also should remember too that the loan terms, whatever's been deferred up front is going to be added on the back end, ultimately. So in the end, it should work out, but we're just delaying the situation to try to help.
So Val, when you pulled that up, just look at page 3. I mean, when I was looking at it online, there was a section that I don't know what happened to it, but it should have said the purpose of, and there was either a blank in there or there was something messed up with it. And I don't know if it was with the scanning or if they just forgot to put words in there.
So, pull it up on the screen or just?
I might even have it. No, I don't have it. I shut it down.
Let's see here.
Have you
11.7 or 3.7. There you go.
Page 3, you said?
Yeah, it's not showing up on our screen right now. So.
No, it's gone to a separate window. You have to share it with the document open.
Oh, jeepers.
Yeah, it's a weird thing that Zoom does.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, forget it. I don't want to keep messing that up.
Jen,
Go ahead, Joel.
you're saying interest
Yep.
payment July, August, and September, and go back to full payments on October 1,
Correct.
or
Uh-oh.
further.
I'm
You would
sorry.
have, you would have July, August, and September interest-only payments, those first 3 months, and then full payments starting October 1st.
Yes.
I make that motion then.
That we have them execute the loan modification agreement with that date.
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Wave. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Great, thank you.
Okay, planning ahead, annual public works road trip, when
Sorry.
and how?
I missed who second that. I was
Ian did.
typing, sorry.
Ian did. Yep.
Ian did.
Okay, road trip.
I was on screen sharing because I don't have that sorted out yet. I didn't, at the last meeting, I did not realize that when I had the water and sewer budgets up on the screen that it completely obliterated everything else for the longest time. And all you could hear were people's voices and couldn't see anything else but that. So, lesson learned, sort of. Getting there.
So we're all going to pile into a bus and drive around close together? For our
Well,
road
you have a
trip?
big bus, we're allowed 15 on a bus.
Yeah, how do we do that? Do we have a bigger bus?
Get you 72 or 78 passenger.
Well, Joe, what's a small bus capacity?
15.
Yeah, so there's the 7 of us could fit in there. If there's more than that, then
One
we have,
every other seat. You might every other seat
Yeah.
backwards and crisscross and back.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I can check into it.
Can't you
Yeah,
just have
if we
Eric
had more
driving
than-
around with a camera?
What's
What's
that?
You all sit in homes?
Does that have Eric
Let Eric
film and
go
narrate
around
it for
with
us?
the camera. He could do a little, he could have Ian do the drone, and then he could
Right.
stand and talk. And
It's a full-on production.
I'm still on vacation.
Good for you, Eric.
Thanks for reminding us.
We're gonna wait until you're done vacation. Actually, we could drag Kale on it.
So I'm new to the road trip idea. Explain what the road trip is and what usually happens.
Eager, go ahead.
So what usually happens is we pick the board picks points of interest, and Eric picks points of interest, and we go around and look at the different infrastructure and like where he wants to pave and where he wants to ditch. And if you have a concern or something that you want to see, we put that on the list so that you get to see it with everybody else. And basically, we're on a bus for a couple hours, tour around town, and you get to see, for some of us, parts that we never see, and for others of us, parts we see every day.
Now this list, when you're building this list, is it something so it's next year, or this is a list for this year?
A little bit of both. It gives us a chance to, Eric will tell us what he has prioritized, and sometimes the board will shuffle what's prioritized based on what we see.
Okay.
You want to jump in, Eric?
Basically, it's a wish list that never gets done.
Optimism. Come on, Eric.
No, it's a good ride, and like Peter was saying, it's good to get out and show my stuff, what I want to get accomplished in the year, and any of your guys' concerns that you have to show me, and it actually is pretty good.
And what you have accomplished.
You know what? Yeah, what we have done.
I have found them to be very useful.
I mean, when the first one I went on, Ian, there were parts of town that I have never been. So when they start talking about this road, that road, whatever, it's like, where is that? Somebody give me a landmark so I can figure out what part of the town we're in.
Right.
So it was good to get out and actually see different areas when they start talking about the slide. Okay, now I know where the slide is, or, you know, so that's helpful. That was helpful for me.
And also to educate you on some of these class 3 roads that have, that are basically a driveway. They have one house at the end of them that we're running a town truck in there to plow, that we've been trying to get rid of. And it makes it easier for you to understand why we have the concerns we have when we're talking about them, trying to eliminate them.
Right.
Joel, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I'm just going to say, Ian, when Eric shows us all these projects, and then somebody sees you at the coffee shop or somewhere, and you or Darla at the hardware store, and they say, "Hey, what's going on with that?" You at least don't have that dumb look in your face. I haven't got a clue. You can go, "Well, he showed us that, and we're waiting for some funds, or we're waiting for this," and you'll have at least, you can give your constituents a little bit of an answer to know. You say, "Have that dumb look on your face." I have that pretty much all the time. I know. But stop it, Jennifer.
Okay, so is there a time frame we're looking at? Eric, when are you back from vacation?
I can do the road trip anytime. If you guys want
No.
No.
When are you back from vacation?
to do it at the end of
July
the day
1st.
anyway, so I don't get paid at the
July
end of
1st
the day
is
anyway.
Awesome. July 1st is correct.
All right.
No, I've done my time as of the end of Friday. I don't have no more time.
The end of this Friday?
Yep.
Oh, so you don't have to keep.
I don't
Is he
believe
lying?
that.
You had 5 weeks 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so do people feel comfortable being on a smaller bus if we can alternate seats and do it after Eric's back in the beginning of July sometime?
Sure. If I can open a window.
There'll be plenty of windows.
Michelle, I can get probably a 25 passenger.
Okay.
Short,
Okay.
longer one.
All right.
And there was one year when we had a member of the public join the trip, so that could happen again.
Yeah.
What was that?
So you just, hey, Val, do you want to do a Google Calendar or whatever, and we'll all pick some dates in July, and we can all put in and see what everybody's good with, or do you guys want to pick a date now?
I would say a range of dates would be good in times. You can use the, what's that online? I've just forgotten
Doodle.
the name completely. Doodle, thank you.
Doodle.
it.
See, I was close. I said Google. Google Doodle. Go on.
You guys just pick a date and let me know.
Okay.
Can't do Tuesdays.
Oh, here.
Eric, you can't do Tuesdays?
Hi,
Well,
Chase.
Select board meeting in Stocksboro?
First and the third Tuesday I can't do.
First and the third
You get that,
Tuesday.
Val?
Okay.
He said I can't do the first and the third Tuesday?
Yeah,
That what you
first
said?
and the third.
There. Okay.
Okay.
All right. We good with that? Next? Good to move on? Okay.
Okay.
Continued consideration of the Addison County Regional Planning Commission contract amendment proposal for continued work on the Unified Development Ordinance.
So hopefully folks had a chance to review the proposed amendment and the information that Adam Luigi from the ACRPC provided to back up the request.
It did, and it still ticks me off, but.
So it looks like we've actually, the last time we talked about this, there was an idea, which I probably suggested, of not paying them at all until the project was done. It looks like we have paid those invoices according to the warrant. So.
Well, it's
correct?
on the warrant for tonight. They have not.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. That's right. I keep thinking those are the things that haven't been done yet. Okay.
And I'm
And
not
it's-
sure what would be gained by postponing payment other than making a statement.
Well,
shaking
that
her
would
head.
be good.
Jen's dying to pay that invoice. She's got invoices. She wants to pay it.
I just don't want it to drag out. That's the only
No, I
thing
know.
I
It's
I
true.
don't want it.
And the
So if you
auditors
guys
might
don't
not
like
look
it, we can
favorably.
do it.
That's true.
Up to
No,
you.
it's fine. That's fine. And I think if as long as if we've actually got the invoices, let's pay them. And then my other thing was to just have it be up to a certain amount, so he can't go over a certain amount.
Right.
I think we all agreed on that, which looks like it's in there anyway. So yeah, it seems
And
that seems
Valerie,
fine.
I think one of those goes to something different. Like the big one goes to the planning and zoning, but then the smaller one goes to
Well, yeah,
grant or something?
there's a separate batch of invoices. There's a group of there's the town, the subdivision regs, and then there's the town plan update. Yeah, that's a separate one for like $1,400. That's separate. That's on target.
I just don't want to be doing this again next year.
Right.
Yeah, I conveyed that.
Okay. So somebody want to make a motion to approve the amendment?
So moved.
Somebody a second?
I'll second.
Darla, a second. Did you get that, Tasha? Okay.
This is
Any more just
up to $8,000 for completion of the subdivision unified development ordinance.
Correct. No more.
Including
than
the
8,000.
58 that's in tonight's orders.
Yeah.
Including that, yes.
so it's 8,000 plus the 58, right? Is that what we're saying?
No, it's all the
8,000 total. Okay.
Right, total.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did he seem confident, Val, that he could do it?
He understands that that's the deal.
Okay.
Oh, good.
So that just
And so
means he won't show up. God, I
And
hope not.
So how do we make sure that this doesn't happen again? Is it something that we can, if we're doing this next year, that we need to ask for the invoice? Like, how do we approach that? How do we make sure it doesn't happen again?
I don't know that we will be, I don't know what other projects we will be contracting with them for at this point, because the town plan and the unified development ordinance were the two big ones. Subdivision not subdivision, the stormwater final designs that are now being funded through 100% through the Clean Water Block grants. I really don't think there's going to be anything else on the horizon, and I think this experience has sensitized both of us, speaking for myself, and then from their perspective, that we need to be paying attention to how these things get paid.
Okay, sounds good to me.
All right. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Raise your hand. Okay. Any opposed? Okay. Motion carried. Appointment of Bristol representatives to the Addison County Regional Planning Commission.
So for several years, we've had only two representatives to the ACRPC. That has been Peter Grant and Bill Sayre. Peter Grant was reappointed in March. Bill Sayre has not yet responded to me. But I understand, talking with Joel this afternoon, that Bill Sayre would be interested in serving as an alternate, but not necessarily the primary delegate. I was reminded today that Bristol has up to 3 representatives and 3 alternates, so 6 seats are available to serve and represent the town on the Addison County Regional Planning Commission. But right now we've only had 2 filled over these many years. So one option is to advertise, and we've advertised in the past for this without much interest coming back. But if folks either tonight know of anyone who would be interested, you might want to consider appointing tonight, or interviewing or advertising and see what comes out of that. Those are the options.
There's anybody on the Planning Commission that would be interested?
Right. That's what I was thinking.
I don't know of anybody in particular. Bill Sayre has been on the Planning Commission, but I understand that he's not been in attendance in the last few meetings. It would be nice to have a Planning Commissioner be that liaison to inform both the Planning Commission and just the Select Board as things come up with the Regional Planning Commission.
I mean, we go on, Jill. Sorry.
Unmute, Joel.
Maybe we ought to put this to the Planning Commission and say, could you have someone in your group that wants to get on the board?
I mean, yeah, I think we really should have a Planning Commission member.
Yes.
Recognizing too that being on the local Planning Commission is a time commitment, and then also serving on the Regional Planning Commission could be a time commitment. So folks, that might be a barrier for some people.
Does the Regional Planning Commission meet during the day? Is that an obstacle for people?
I believe their meetings are in the evening.
In the evening.
How often do they meet, Val? Do you know?
I think once a month.
Once a month.
Yeah. Like the solid waste district, once a month.
Ian, did you want to say something? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Peeker.
I think we should at least ask the planning commission, because I think it would be beneficial to have somebody that is on both.
Go ahead, Ian.
I was going to say, yeah, we have 7 members to pick from. We already sort of have someone, the co-chair, Katie, because she works for the Regional Planning Commission, but I know that's not the same thing. But I do think, as Speaker said, we should ask politely if one of those other 7 members might want to step up and take a place, and then I think we should advertise it as well. There was a renewed interest in the Planning Commission a little while ago, and so maybe people who didn't get on the Planning Commission would be interested in the regional planning. So we might get lucky this time.
So let's advertise.
Yeah.
Porch Farm.
Yep. Yeah, the usual spots.
Okay. Anything else on that? Okay. Consider any PBA collective bargaining agreement with the Bristol Police Department. May include deliberations and executive session.
Select board members received the most current version that has been verified by our town attorney to accurately reflect the select board's adjustments from last March. A red line version was emailed this morning. So the select board, if you're comfortable with it, you could choose to act on it in open session now, but if you want to continue discussion in deliberative session, you can do that.
I looked at the red line and it looked right to me. I didn't have my actual notes with me. Bruce, did you get a chance to look at it, and did it look okay to you?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't have a chance to read it over.
I mean, it appeared to have all the things taken out that we wanted taken out and changes made.
The attorneys did have to tweak some of the language just a little bit to have it be, I don't know, be nuanced accurately, but
right.
Overall.
The legalese.
No, they had to tweak it to earn their money is what it is. It's not, it said what we wanted to say. They had to tweak it so they could justify their bill.
Mission accomplished.
They didn't have to, all they had to do was receipt and review it, and then they charge you for that. Does anybody have any other questions on it? Are people comfortable with it? Do you want to vote on it, or do we need to go into executive session?
I'm fine with voting on it, maybe on the notion that Bruce takes a look at it and gives his approval.
Are you good with that, Bruce? Okay.
So are you suggesting taking action tonight subject to or post?
Correct.
I think she's, yeah, we'll
Yeah. I think our attorneys looked at it. We've looked at it. I think if Bruce looks at it and says it's good to go, I think we go with it.
I think we ratify it pending Bruce's review of make sure the changes are correct. So that's a motion, Ian, right?
Was that Beaker?
I said a motion to ratify the contract.
Second.
Okay.
Pending Bruce's review.
Okay.
Second.
Go ahead, Joel.
I said second.
Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Wave, hi, yeah, great. Any opposed? Cool. My God, they'll be happy.
Only took a year or more.
A couple of years. It's just
That's the only
about
reason
time to
The only reason I
time to
voted
start
for
the
it.
next one.
Get it off the plate.
Okay. Next, approval of May 26, 2020 meeting minutes.
Need just a little bit more time. Sorry about that.
No, I was going to tell you that after I read them, I said, I think you weren't done yet.
Right.
Well, there's an executive session part that needs to go in, right? Or something at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. So that'll be next meeting.
Yes.
Authorize accounts, pay a warrant, and any liquor license. And I don't think do I have the warrant? Yes, I do have the warrant. Do you have the number, Tasha? Okay, the number is $76,423.77. Okay. Was there any liquor licenses or anything, Jen? Do you know? No? Okay. Okay, select board roundtable. Jolie, let's start with you.
Okay, a couple of items. Talked to Cy the other day, and after our water commissioner meeting there we had a couple weeks ago, I asked him if they'd priced out that hydrant on Elm Street, and he was unclear about, well, we weren't told to do it yet. So as water commissioners, put your hat back on. Do we want to pass this? Do we want a new hydrant on that street in July so Eric can pave it by the end of the year or not? Pending, they still are trying to monitor some of the houses, but some of the houses may have leaks under their going to the house, so they don't know. They don't think they'll have to dig up in the road. But my point to him was, if you think you got to dig up the road, then I don't want Eric to paving it. I don't think we do. So, but he wasn't directed to replace the hydrant yet. So, do we want to or not?
Joel, can I jump in for just a second before you keep going?
Sure.
I had talked with Jill about it too, and so when we presented that budget to you, there was probably like a list of a dozen, if not more, things that this budget was hopefully trying to accomplish. You know, obviously with staying within the spending means, and that Jill had is asking the same exact question that you're asking, and so my thought on it, and you guys, you know, this is your call, but my thought was that, you know, come July 1, you know, Jill and Ty could say, this is what it would cost you to replace the Elm Street hydrant, and kind of give you a cost estimate and breakdown with the material costs, labor, etc. And then you guys could kind of yay or nay it based on what it's coming. And then they could also give you their recommendations as to whether they think this is a good idea, they think this is a bad idea, why or why not. And then you guys could kind of move forward, you know, from there. And that the idea would be is that as each kind of bigger project that we had talked about with the budget kind of comes along, that you guys could see an estimate of the work that was to be done and could kind of agree to move forward with it, or direct yourselves towards something different you think is more important.
Well, that's great information, because Cy didn't tell me any of that. It's just
he didn't know that. Jill and I had this conversation because she was
maybe
asking that question because you were asking Cy that question. So she was trying to find this balance between how to accomplish everything after a conversation with you and whatnot. So she was just trying to find this happy medium. So I guess I had pictured in my mind that nothing would happen before July 1st anyways.
Right.
But that before they went ahead and did that we would come to you, you know, they'd come to us with a number that said, here's what it's going to cost us to do that, and here's why we think it's a good idea, or here's why we think it's a bad idea, and kind of give you some backlog to it. So Cy he was headed to Bolton, so I didn't get to talk to him this morning. Well, but I got to talk to Jill.
Okay, I think that's I'd like to know what the list is, and maybe Cy and Jill present the list with us with some cost estimates, and then we can kind of, okay, can you or can't you do everything on the list? And then we could pick and choose, and that hydrant may fall off the list. I agree, but I don't know what the list is. Jill didn't share that.
Yeah, the budget does, in theory, accomplish everything on the list. It's the things that happen in the meantime that are unplanned for that potentially, you know, hinder what does and doesn't get accomplished. I'm sure, as Eric can speak to as well, you know, something else comes up that we're not planned for, like Rockydale this weekend, for instance, you know, that ends up getting taken out of the budget. So, you know, plugging away at a couple things this summer with the idea that we can reserve a little bit of the money in hopes that winter's kind to us and that spring's kind to us, and then we can plug away some more things, you know, next spring, but that each time a bigger project was getting ready to happen, like some kind of cost list or estimate would be provided to the board so that they could, you guys could agree to move on.
Right.
You know,
Well,
with
another
that.
question he asked you was the hydrant up by Hogback Brewery, the old pub up there. And he said, we're going to make that just a flushing hydrant.
Yep.
My point was, realize we don't use that now as if we had to, something was burning in that neighborhood. But I asked him, what was the cost between a flushing hydrant and a regular hydrant? And can you accomplish the same thing with a regular hydrant to flush it? And he said he could, but he didn't know the cost difference. I said, if you brought that to the board and it was, say, let's say it's $2,000 more for a fire department fire hydrant than a flushing hydrant, that you can only use it to flush the water system, it may be prove us to say we'd rather have a hydrant for $2,000 more. I said, that's the information the board needs to know.
Can you or Peaker speak to about having it be a 6-inch main to feed a hydrant for it to be illegal, or legal is not the right word, but a usable hydrant for the fire department? Or
would we like them on 6 minimum?
and that's kind of over my head, but
would we like them on 6 or 8 or 12? Yes. But I talked with Alan. That was one of the things, as you know, Lance always told us when SOS had the contract, well, we can't replace that hydrant on Elm Street because it's on a 4-inch main. And that is not true. I checked with Alan Eisinger. Alan says you can't put new 6-inch mains or 4-inch mains down into a development and put a hydrant on. But if you've got an existing hydrant on a 4-inch main, you can replace the hydrant to fix it with it on a 4-inch main. So those two can be fixed because they were original hydrants and they can be replaced with a 6-inch hooked onto a 4-inch main.
right. But why do I think Rockydale's smaller than 4? Am I making that up?
I don't know if that's a 4-inch or a 2-inch line up through there. There's one
Came down from the reservoir. It's a 4, or from the intake up in Lincoln.
I mean, there's a fairly new hydrant right across the road from the old squirrel's nest. It's right where he almost dug this weekend. There's a hydrant right there by Randy Sargent's where he pulled into his driveway. And that's a fairly new hydrant.
Right. Okay.
So Jen, can they put together a list, you know, with the cost estimates with what they think are the priority?
Yeah, so Jill had provided that. Valerie, were you on that one? I can't. It's so,
yes, and I think
so
she
blurry.
tried to show it on the screen, but I wasn't aware that because my screen was sharing that nobody else could see what she was showing.
So we did, you know, all of these things were considered when you had looked at the budget, and they had come up with estimates because I had basically said the exact same things you all are saying right now, which is like, they're going to want to know what each project cost estimate is so that we can, you know, kind of tie a number out and maybe buff it a little bit in hopes that, you know, we have some money to use for emergencies. So that's an email that can easily be forwarded to you all.
Okay.
It might be helpful when we take the bus ride. If some of these things are along the way, we could say this is where that hydrant was going to cost X amount of dollars, or just to have that highlighted on the trip would be helpful to me.
Oh, nice. Good idea.
Yep. Good idea, darling. Anything else, Joel, for you?
Nope.
Well, I thought you said you had a couple things.
Well, yeah. Talking with, and then Eric, you also said you wanted to pave Taylor Avenue this year. That was on your list in May, and then we've taken it off. And are they going to pave Taylor Avenue in the new fiscal year after July and Elm Street? And are they going to pave Lover's Lane before July 1st?
Right now, the goal is to do the Notch Road, shim, and complete pave on Lover's Lane hopefully by the end of June.
Okay. And then talking to you, and you showed it to us a couple years ago on the bus trip, Lower Harts gravel, and I drove that this weekend, and that is, because of the farms, that's in pretty tough shape, pretty sinking.
Yeah.
I asked you about it. You said, well, that's going to take some structural money, and you didn't
Right.
get for it. Is that something you could do to shim that, or build a base up out of the revolving, not the revolving loan, but the capital roads budget?
Jen's shaking her head no.
Capital Roads is pretty,
There's
pretty
no
thin.
money in there right now to do that.
Hold on, I heard two different Valerie started to say, and then you talked in, Eric. I couldn't.
Okay, sorry.
I just said that Capital Roads is pretty thin, the budget. The account.
But do we know what would do to Lower Notch Road? How much, Lower Harts gravel, if we ground it and built a base up, kind of like you did number of years ago when you guys did a lot of the Moncton Road?
I don't know the price. I know grinding is expensive.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess that grinding alone, if you're gonna say grind from Brad Bushy's to our line, you're gonna spend $15,000-$20,000 in grinding.
Yeah.
Just for grinding. That doesn't include anything else.
It doesn't include anything else like building a
So
base.
then you're gonna have to buy a road base. Probably put a foot of road base on. Culverts should be good down through there. And then gravel, 6 inches of gravel on top of that, and then pave it. You're talking $100,000 probably, close to it by the time you're done.
Time you put the pavement on it?
Time you put the pavement on it, yep.
Time you put the paving on it. Okay. Because that road, I think that's got to go on our tour. That road's, you showed that road to us 2 years ago.
Yep.
I was hoping your goal last year.
The goal last year was to get the notch done this spring, which isn't going to happen.
Well, you're not going to be that far off. You're going to be a year off on that, but.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's all I had, Michelle. The 3 roads.
Okay. All right. Darla.
I don't really have anything this evening.
Okay. Peeker?
I actually got an email from somebody.
And you read it.
And you read it.
with a picture.
The $1 million question, did you answer their email?
Yes, I did. Well, to bring it to you is what I'm supposed to do. So, green up day pickup. This individual stacked, policed their street and filled the bag, and under the bag there was a bunch of branches. And he understands if they don't pick the branches up, but the branches in the picture, the branches were taken and thrown back into the cornfield. Probably not acceptable for our road crew to be doing. So I guess the question to Eric is, do you know what happened?
I'm on vacation.
I was going to say, that was Cal. Eric wasn't around because they didn't pick up one of the bags on our road. I had to put it in my trash.
I just think that, it's, if somebody goes to the trouble, and like you said, he would have, he didn't know if they were going to take the brush or not. And he was going to go back if they didn't and put it on his burn pile and burn it. And he was pretty upset when he went back and it was thrown into the corn piece. And I can share the email and show you, send you the
Where was this
picture.
speaker?
Plank Road.
Plank Road. Hills. Right.
I mean, I actually saw a couple of bags where they picked up the brush, and I was actually surprised they picked up the brush because I didn't think they would take it anyway. But I mean, I will have to say that this was a tough year for Green Up Day. I mean, I hope they never extend it because it was hard finding trash and grass that's 2 feet high.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping they would have just foregone it this year and just started next year again. This is ridiculous this year.
Well, I can tell you that there'll still be a lot more trash last year because after I picked up our road, the next day there was people were throwing cans to try and get them close to the bag I left on the side of the road. I was like, really?
They've got a target now.
It was bad. But anyway,
Uh,
so,
That's all I have.
okay. Ian?
a couple things. So someone emailed me and said a concept to have masks available in a public space. They were volunteering to make masks. This is for people who maybe don't have them coming in from other places. Can we have a central location? You'd have to sort of keep it monitored. But that was just an idea, and I wanted to talk about that. I don't know. I received this email today. I don't know if it's something town offices, if we've agreed to keep them closed. I'm not sure what the library schedule is. That seems like a central place, and that if they start to open in limited capacity, that might be a good location, and I could talk to Nancy about that. But does anyone have any other ideas of where we could have that so people, they could be directed to a location to be able to get masks if they needed them?
The
We
churches.
could have the town barn, but Eric's on vacation.
Right, I'm on vacation.
The only other place I could think of might be the churches, but they're just starting to open back up.
That's right.
How about the
limited
post
time.
office?
Yep, the post office.
Well, if
Yeah.
you're looking for a place to put them, to give them, are you looking to give them away, Ian? Is that what?
Yeah. Yeah, just give away, just so people know, like if they didn't have them and they didn't know where to get them, they could at least, ask, call or ask the town offices or have a sign or something like that. Yeah, so give away.
Another spot you might want to consider would be either Martin's or Maple Fields. A lot of people go to both of them stores.
Yeah. Okay.
So that might be a spot.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. All right.
Well, the only thing is you don't want anybody coming to take them.
Well,
because they're coming in the store. You're talking about somebody who really kind of needs them.
Right.
They don't have access to them.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I mean, most stores now, a lot of the smaller places have masks, or businesses have masks. I'm not sure about stores, but.
Yeah, so maybe the post office, since that's more traffic, churches, or, I mean, Martin's is a good one too, but I don't know if that would be seen as part of what Martin's is doing, or I could talk to Nancy at the library and just see what their schedule is. I know there's again, like everyone, they're slowly sort of opening up, but that's sort of a central public location.
Okay.
Well, if you're going to advertise them, it should be something public. It should probably be something that we, as the town, are affiliated with.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Saturday, Ian, on Dump Day, if somebody wanted to be stand out there, and maybe you could do it then too.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Okay. What are my other ones? Hang on. For the core, I got an email about extending the Zoom subscription. This is specifically for Valerie. I don't know if we want to do that for the town as well, to do pay 12 months instead of paying month to month. It's a little bit cheaper. Just a suggestion. I don't know if you got that email, or maybe Jen got that, or whoever set up the Zoom. But I through Core, we just pay, just figuring that we're going to be using it quite a ways from now. And then I talked to Valerie a little bit about this. I'm trying to post agendas. This is a more public outreach kind of thing. We're doing much better with publishing the select board agenda on Front Porch Forum on Facebook, and we have, it's well received. I'd like to do the same, have the other committees, especially planning, conservation, and energy, do the same. I'm willing to do that, and I've started doing that. And I reminded myself, just because it's Conservation Commission coming this Thursday. But it would be nice to maybe at some point sort of talk about, just have some suggestions for those boards to be able to start doing it themselves at some point, and just maybe use the town Facebook page, because it has a lot of followers and a lot of people who have liked it and get updates from that. And then Front Porch Forum, have two key areas. So we have less of the argument that we didn't know about the meeting coming from residents if there is a particular issue, that we're doing more active, especially for our other commissions. be nice to start seeing that. And I said I'm willing to sort of do some of that to sort of start that going and see if I can build some momentum and just get that going. But maybe further down the line, sort of speak with the commissions and recommend that they do that themselves.
Well, maybe each commission should have their own publications or communications person that does that, takes that on.
Yeah. And it might be the chair. I mean, it's a simple thing. It's just to remember, like, you're sending it to Sharon anyway. And so she's putting it on the town website, but it would be nice, I think, to also make that extra effort to do Front Porch Forum on Facebook. And then it just gets it out there, especially now we're communicating that way anyway. I think that would be good. And then my final thing was just regards to the website. I sent a couple emails and get responses, but just in terms of upgrading to SSL, secure website. So it's HTTPS instead of just being unsecure. And I'd like to make that happen if we can.
What does that entail, Ian? Just more money?
$40 a year?
Yeah, $40 a year.
Mm-hmm. And what's the difference between the S?
It's a secured website. If somebody wants to put in credit card information or whatever, technically it's secure.
Right.
But since our website doesn't have that kind of functionality.
It doesn't, but what you're running into is that the majority of websites use that technology no matter what you're doing on your website. And so my concern is that, especially with browsers like Chrome, if someone's using that, there's potential that you wouldn't actually be able to access the town website if it doesn't have HTTPS. And I think there were cutoffs for that. It's just, it's using the latest technology. It's not a fad. It's just something that we should think about at some point. I've done it for Bristol Core, and it was done for like Neat and other ones that I've been sort of working on. And so it's just something that we should put in the budget and update, similar to updating the site and theme and all the other things that are associated with it. So it's a good thing to do.
It's just a protocol that's not going away.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. That it?
Yep. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. I don't really have anything. Val, I did want to check with you about the discussion you and I had about the RFL funds and that with the state. Is that something we're going to talk about?
I got the impression that it's not something we're going to talk about, because the revolving loan fund committee really should weigh in on it, and we didn't have a chance to make that happen before tonight's meeting. And there's a lot of information for folks to sort through. And the state is it appears to be on a very fast timeline. They wanted to have a quick turnaround, which was not going to happen. And I know that some concerns have been expressed about use of the town's revolving loan funds for enterprises outside of town. That if the town was agreeable to having its revolving loan funds being pooled with the statewide resource, that we would need to be willing to allow those funds to be loaned out to entities outside of town. And so that was a concern. And then at the administrative level that would need to be understood. So it seemed it was too much too fast.
Yep. Okay. That's all I have. Town administrator's report.
I don't have anything to add other than to bring attention to what I pointed out in the report about Craig Scribner's term as lister, contracted lister, is coming to a close soon after the grievance process is concluded. So we're going to need to think about how to deal with that vacancy. It'll just be Mark Bouvier alone as a lister. There were two other lister positions, but then both of them would be vacant at that point. So recruitment or some other way to find somebody who's interested in filling one or both of those seats would be great. I just want to keep that on the radar. And the other thing I wanted to mention was to acknowledge Jen and the Public Works fellas who were out in force on Saturday dealing with the water line break on Rocky Dale. That was a pretty long day for a lot of folks, and they they identified the problem, they worked hard to get it together, and they fixed it, and the water was restored. So I want to acknowledge and thank them for all of that work on a weekend.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. How did the break happen? Was it just erosion or an actual damage?
I don't know the specifics.
Okay, do we have executive session or other business, other correspondence and stuff? Anything there?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I could
Michelle-
follow up that.
Michelle, I just wanted to add something. Michelle,
Go ahead, Joel.
last week when you said you saw it on Facebook where Salisbury was
Yep.
selling water,
Mm-hmm.
Salisbury Fire Department doing that as a fundraiser, and they're pumping it right out of the lake and filling their tanker. As Peter and I know, we used to do that years ago, and we stopped when there was some local water haulers who do that for a living. We're going to sue the town because our trucks were registered with municipal plates, and we were a municipal fuel where we weren't paying tax on, and we were getting a donation for water. So Salisbury being independent like that, they could probably do that, but that's why I just wanted to make sure it wasn't.
It didn't say anything about a fundraiser. What I saw, that's all I saw was what they were doing. So it very well could have been a fundraiser, but that's not.
Well, they're doing it
got
as a
from
fundraiser to raise money, but
Mhm.
I talked to their chief, and he said, "Yeah, we just did it out of the lake."
I didn't think you could take it out of the lake like that. But okay, whatever.
I had a contractor call me last night and want to know he could get 5,000 gallons of water. I said, "We don't get it off a hydrant anymore unless you want to buy it." And he says, "I'll go to the river and pump it out." I said, "Fine with me. I don't care."
Yeah, that's against the rules too.
That's what I thought. I thought you had to have a permit.
Unless it's for agriculture, yeah, that's a no-no.
Somebody want to put the state on notice, huh? Okay.
So I did want to circle back on one thing under other business.
Go ahead.
The letter to Kevin Irish about the dogs, that has been resolved. So the dogs are registered or in the process of being registered, and that has, the communications appear to have had a positive result.
Time will tell. Okay. Do we have an executive session or are we good?
I think, yeah, we did the contract, we did the labor contract. I think personnel, I think, can wait until next time.
Cool.
Unless Bruce, you think we need to have a conversation about anything?
No, we're good.
I think we're good.
Oh my God, 9 o'clock. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
You still got 4 officers?
So moved.
Hold on. You still got 4 officers or 3?
That would probably be executive session material.
No updates.
There you go. Nothing new. Okay, so I got a motion to adjourn. Do I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Woo!
See you another week, Garrett.
Hey, see you guys. Meeting ended. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.